Welcome Algebra 1. This video is on multiplying by a monomial and factoring the greatest common factor. The essential question is, what is the relationship between the two topics in these notes? Let's begin. So first we're going to talk about how to multiply a monomial and a polynomial. Remember from last time, monomial has one term and polynomial can have many terms. So what you want to do is you want to distribute that monomial to every term in the polynomial. So for example, in this case, we have 3k is our monomial, and negative 4k squared plus 8k minus 4 is our polynomial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this 3k to every term here. And I like drawing these arrows just to indicate, yep, I have to distribute it to all three terms. So what it's going to be is I'm going to write out the steps in detail. I'm going to go 3k times negative 4k squared, and then you're going to have plus a 3k times an 8k plus a 3k times negative 4. So let's multiply each of those products. 3k times negative 4k, well 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, and k times k squared is going to be k cubed. Next one, 3 times 8 is going to be 24. K times k is going to be k to the second power, k squared. Last one, 3 times negative 4 will be negative 12, and just a k times no other k's will just be a k. So your distributed polynomial is this thing right here, negative 12k squared, or cubed, plus 24k squared minus 12k. That's all you have to do. Alright, the other thing here, we want to factor out the greatest common factor from a polynomial. So this is factoring a polynomial here. And just a reminder, how do you do this when you have multiple terms and there's numbers and variables? You want to factor out and find the largest number and the greatest amount of variables that you can divide evenly from all terms. So the biggest number and the greatest amount of variables. So let's do the number first. So first for the number, all right, number. And your numbers here are 18, 6, and 30. What is the biggest number that divides into all of those? And in this case, I'm looking at 18 and 6 and 30. The biggest number that would go into all three of those is 6. So I'm going to write the GCF. GCF equals 6. Because, it's kind of lagging on me right there. Alright, the reason why is because you can go 18 divided by 6, and that's going to equal 3. That will, 18 divided by 6, and that's going to equal 3. 6 divided by 6, and that'll equal 1. And 30 divided by 6, and that's going to equal 5. So the greatest common factor for the number part is 6. Now let's look at the variables. So I'm going to do the variables. What you have for the variables is you have n to the 5th power, n to the 4th power, and n to the 3rd power. What is the largest amount of variables that you can divide into all those? And in this case, the GCF is going to be n cubed, because you can divide n to the 5th divided by n cubed and you get n squared, n to the 4th by n cubed and you get just an n, and n cubed divided by n cubed you get 1. So that's the biggest amount of variables that you can divide. So your total GCF is going to be 6 n cubed. So when we want to show we're actually factoring that, I'm going to take these three terms up here, 18, and let's see, the work's getting kind of messy here. So I'm just going to move it over here. I'm going to do the work right here. So if I'm going to factor out a 6n cubed, I want to divide every term here by 6n cubed, 6n cubed, and 6n cubed. So what's going to happen here, I got a 6n cubed coming out. 18n to the 5th divided by 6n cubed will be 3n squared. The next term, 6 divided by 6 will be 1, the numbers go away, and n to the 4th divided by n third is just n. And the last one, 30 divided by 6 will be 5, and n cubed divided by n cubed just goes away, so it's just a 5. So your final factored form looks like this, 6n cubed times 3n squared plus n plus 5. And you can always check that. I could, if I wanted to check if I'm right, I could just go backwards and distribute that 6n cubed to every term. If you did that, it should match what you started with. 6 times 3 would be 18, n cubed, n squared is going to be n to the 5th. 6n cubed times n should be plus 6n to the 4th. 6n cubed times 5 should be plus 30n cubed. And this right here matches what I started with up here. So that's a way to check. Alright, let's do some examples. Pause the video. Okay, I want to find each product here. So I'm going to distribute the 6x to all three terms. So you're going to get 18x cubed. 6x times 2x is going to be plus 12x squared. 6x times negative 4 is negative 24x. The one down here, distribute that negative 3n to all three terms. Negative 3n times negative 5n squared is going to be positive 15n cubed. Next one's going to be negative 3n minus 5n is going to be plus 15n squared. And negative 3n plus 2 is going to be minus 6n. So there's your answer. Next one. Pause the video. Okay, I'm going to factor the polynomials here. So I got to find the GCF of the numbers and the variables. So 20, 5, and 10, the GCF of that is going to be 5. That's the biggest number that will go in all three. A to the 8th, A to the 7th, A to the 6th. The largest amount of variables is going to be A to the 6th power. So your GCF is 5 times A to the 6th. So to figure out what my factored form is, I'm going to divide each of these by 5 times 5A to the 6th. 5A to the 6th. And what's going to happen is my answer, I'm going to write my answer over here. 20A to the 8th divided by 5A to the 6th will be 4A squared. 5 is just 1, and A to the 7th divided by A to the 6th is just A. 10A6 over 5A to the 6th is going to be just 2, because the A's will cancel out. So there's your factored form. Next one, okay, 14, 49, and 49, the GCF for the number part will be just 7. And then for the variables, k cubed, k squared, and no k's, which means I can't factor out any variables. So the GCF is just 7. So I'm going to divide each of these by 7. So my factored form, I factored out a 7. I'm going to be left with 2k cubed. 49k squared divided by 7 will be plus 7k squared. 49 divided by 7 will be plus 7. So this is my factored form. That's it.